And good evening. Welcome to number one, our show number one of this year, 2023-2024 of Coach's Corner, our third season of Coach's Corner here, of course, in our comfy confines of the Highlander Activity Center here on the Highland Activity Network live on YouTube. And I will be your host throughout this season, hopefully. Paul McDonald again, back here for another year. We're going to kick things off. One quick programming note. Normally we'll start at 6 o'clock, our normal time, but we got a little special thing tonight with 5:30 start time. Volleyball's got a team meal coming up here, but Rebecca Erickson joining us, head volleyball coach from the Highlanders. Coach, how you doing?
Good.
So far, so good. You've got, let's start to the crossover. Last week, you guys went to Bismarck and had 7 matches in on Friday and Saturday, a 3-4 record. Just your thoughts on the team's performance last weekend.
I think that was probably our best volleyball we've played in Bismarck. We have struggled in the past with our serve receive, and I think we really got that down this weekend, or last weekend, I should say. Our first match of the weekend was a little rough, and then we just picked it up from there. And then on Saturday, we started out with Jamestown, and we were dead. Like, we're not awake, we're not ready, we're not prepared. And then we started to play really well. We held in with Century on their first match, our first set of the match, and then we kind of struggled a little bit after that. But by the time we were done, it was our 7th match, and we were exhausted. And I mean, it was a game we should have won, but we learned from it, and then we played Devil's Lake yesterday.
In that crossover where you're obviously you want to play well, you'd like to get some wins, but is it a place where you're really trying to find that combination and find those where those players are going to fit?
Yeah, we were trying to find our starting lineup that really worked with the players that we need together in the front row, so we don't have all of our biggest hitters hitting together, because ideally that's what you do at practice, but in a game you kind of want to split it up so you don't have everybody in 3 rotations together and then a weaker offense in rotations 4 through 6.
How about numbers? You liking where you're at as far as the number of players you got out here for the RC?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, we have some returners, and then we have some new girls that are fitting in, and they're learning how we do things, and I think it's going really well so far.
And I think just a couple of seniors, too, right? Not a lot of seniors on this team.
We just have 3 seniors.
Yeah.
We have Addie, Drew, and Hadley.
So it's experience, yet not as experienced with some of these younger players.
Right.
Well, now you had Devil's Lake here last night. Went up there, the nice little 2.5-hour drive up to Devil's Lake. And I believe a 4-set win, 3-1 against the Firebirds. How'd you feel things went last night?
Our first 2 sets went really well. We were doing a lot of really good things, running some good plays. And then our 3rd set came, and I don't know what happened. We just weren't awake. They opened 0-6 on us, and unfortunately, we dug ourselves a deep hole that we couldn't exactly get out of. And then I just told them, reset. We're going to do it in 4 so we can go home. Because it was a late night. We didn't even start the match until it was a little bit after 8, I believe.
And you look at your JV, I think they dropped a 2-1 match. But how about your younger players, your JV squad, C squad? How about them? How are they looking early on?
They look pretty good. I think they're trying to fine-tune a couple things as well, but I think it's going to come together.
And Vanessa Coca back as an assistant, but a new member of the coaching staff this year.
Yep, we have Cameron Sally. She's doing mostly C squad, but at practice she's helping out with 9th as we're still waiting to find a full 9th grade coach.
Any idea yet as strengths, Rebecca, when you look at this team? I know you've had the 8 matches, but where you think this team is going to be strong doing this, any idea here?
I think this season we're a lot stronger offensively, and our serve receive has been more consistent, which helps us offensively because, I mean, they go hand in hand, and last year we struggled with serve receive, so you can't really run anything offensively if you don't have a good pass. So I think having that strong serve receive to begin with at the beginning of the season is giving them the confidence to be able to run the plays.
New libero this year, obviously, because Jada Nelson graduated, was your libero last year, so you got someone maybe new to the jersey, but not new to the position, correct?
Well, she is new to the position,
okay.
Yep. Kinley set for us last season, and she wanted to take a go at being a libero, and it's been really good for us so far. We have Bryn setting and Drew setting, and so it just worked out to move her there, and she's learning, but every day she's getting better and better, and that's all we ask for.
Well, now here on Thursday night, home opener, and you got Wahpeton coming in, and it seems like you always play some good matches when the Huskies and the Highlanders get together.
Yeah, I think they kind of surprised us last year here on our home court, so it'll be good.
And they're coming off a loss to Horace, but what do you have any idea about the Huskies? Or because it's only the second EDC match, you're more worried about the Highliners and what you guys are doing on your side of the net?
Correct. We just need to focus on our side and not worry about what they're doing. It's a game of errors. It can be anybody's match that night, so we just need to worry about our side of the net.
Game of adjustments, too, because
Correct.
if you have to make adjustments as you move along throughout the match. Goals this year, Rebecca, has this team set any kind of goals?
You know, they're taking it game by game. We haven't really talked about long-term goals yet. I think, honestly, we just want to take it game by game and not focus too much on the end of the season because we get so caught up in it. And, you know, last season we focused so much on underestimated Grand Forks Central, essentially. And then after that, everything went downhill. So we take it one game at a time, and we're just really focusing on resetting this year. You have a bad match, reset, on to the next one.
The most important match is the next match.
That's right.
You don't look you don't look down that schedule and see what's coming up down the road. You worry about who's across the net on that very next match. But tomorrow night, the home opener with Wahpeton, the 4:30 matches will get started, and you guys go around about 7:15 to 7:30. Excitement though, just for the girls to get back in the gym. A lot of them play JO and are ready to get back in. So just a lot of excitement in the gym to get another season going.
Yes, they're very excited to play at home.
So get a good crowd tomorrow night here at the Hack as the Highlanders take on the Wahpeton Huskies. And, of course, we'll have that here on the Highlander Activity Network. Coach, again, thanks for joining us. And
Thanks for having me.
Look forward to another great year of Highlander volleyball.
Thanks.
We will be back. That is Rebecca Erickson, head coach of the Highlander volleyball team. We'll be back with more about Coach's Corner from the Hack here on the Highlander Activity Network. And back here on Coach's Corner from the Highliner Activity Center. Again, our third season of having Coach's Corner. And remember back, we started on Saturday mornings at 8:30, but finding a home here on Wednesday evening. And again, a little earlier this week, again, talking with Coach Erickson. They've got a team meal coming up here right at 6 o'clock. So we bumped the show up a half hour, but we will be live at 6 o'clock. 6 to 7 every Wednesday night. And again, if you don't catch the show live here on the Highlander Activity Network, everything is archived on YouTube, and you can watch it again and again and again. And again, it's our third season. We'll have our first sporting event coming up here Thursday night. We talked about volleyball, and they will have the C Squad will be getting started at 4:30, junior varsity at 5:45, then varsity at around 7:15, 7:30. Of course, our home opener for football is coming up here on Friday night as Watford City comes to town to take on the Highliners. Highlanders opening up the season with a 40-0 win last week as they defeated Turtle Mountain Community High School, a game that was up at Rowlett. That's where the North Prairie Cougars play in Rowlett, and they had to play game there because Turtle Mountain Community High School is getting turf field. It wasn't ready yet, so they moved it over to Rowlett, and again, the Highliners winning last week. We'll talk football coming up here a little later on in the program as we got Coach Engen coming up. Also, we've got Coach Nielsen coming up in tennis. A little later on, we've got cross country and Student Congress. We'll be talking with Madison Yoder, talking Student Congress. All that coming up as Coach's Corner continues, and we've got a couple of special guests joining us next here on Coach's Corner, and we'll be back with that here on the Highlander Activity Network. Back here on Coach's Corner on the Highlander Activity Network, and in our tennis segment, we got Coach Nielsen coming up here in a little bit, talk about the boys' season. But since we did not have a show last year after the spring sports season wrapped up, we got to start off talking tennis. We got to start talking state champions, and we have the doubles state champs from last spring joining us, and Breck Suppical, Abby Martinick. Ladies, congratulations. First chance I got a chance to say congratulations on a state title.
Thank you.
Has it sunk in now? You've had the whole summer to think about it, that you guys did what you did. Breck, how about that?
Yeah, it's sunk in. I mean, it's still kind of hard to believe, but yeah.
And, of course, 1990 when Coach Kringley and her partner, Brenda Ahmet, were state champs. So it's been a long time since a state champion. And Abby, is that something, too, as you guys were, obviously no one's going to talk about that once you're at the state tournament, but after it happened, did they just say, hey, it's been a long time since Highlanders had a state champ?
Yeah, and to have, Susan there with us, it was really emotional, for us to be with her after that match. It felt really good and to, come back and win.
When you won the EDC, I think you won the EDC doubles doubles tournament, and went into the state as the #1 team out of the East. Did you feel, Breck, any pressure, or did you thought, we'll see what happens? How about that?
I kind of went in just whatever happens, happens. I try not to put too much pressure on myself because that can kind of affect my game, but kind of just went in being confident, but still anything can happen. Yeah.
And if you do feel pressure, does Abby calm you down?
Yeah.
The calming influence, right?
Yep.
How about you, Abby, too? Did you feel anything, any kind of pressure or anything heading into that state tournament?
Honestly, I think I felt more pressure for EDC.
Okay.
But for going into state, I mean, it was my first time qualifying, so I just was I was really happy to be there. So I went in pretty relaxed and just, whatever happens, happens, and you got to just do your best.
When you got that set, you won the third set, and you won the state championship. I know there were pictures out there of the hug on the two of you. Just what was your first initial reaction, Breck, after you finally realized what you did?
Well, I cried. My tears started coming down. I just didn't think it was real, kind of in the moment. I was in a state of shock, to say, yeah.
How about you, Abby?
Yeah, same kind of shock feeling. It was like a crazy match. I feel like there was some crazy things happening on the court, like, and you could hear like people cheering for us, and it was just like surreal.
Is it hard to block that stuff out? What the crowd's doing as you're playing, or if you're focused enough on the match, you can kind of block that stuff out?
Kind of, well, during the match, everyone was already done, so then every team from the West and the East was sitting along the courts, and basically every team was, I mean, we're kind of friends with everyone from all the different teams, so, like, hearing them cheer for just, like, someone's rooting for us was kind of a little bit of, like, a good feeling, but also just trying to block it out. Just had to focus on one thing at a time, but, yeah.
And you had been there before. You'd been to state before. So you had that feeling. Did you kind of talk to Abby a little bit about here's what to expect as we do this?
I mean, kind of, but also, you know, I didn't try to freak her out or anything.
Scare.
But, yeah.
Well, and Abby, going through the EDC, you kind of had the taste of the big time and winning a title like that. So did winning the EDC help maybe even going into the state tournament?
Yeah, the EDC like championship for me, like I felt a lot of pressure like for that match for some reason going into it, and I was like struggling through that match a little bit. But then going into state, like I was like, it can't be as bad as that. So it was better knowing that I had already felt like that and going in feeling better.
And you think about it too. I did a little research after you guys won. It kind of kept the tradition going because Valley City's really been known for having doubles teams, not just not win it all, but get to state. Is that something too that you look at, Breck, and you'd been there before with the different part with Olivia, and then you have Abby, but just the tradition of Highlander girls tennis?
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool, especially like Abby said, having Susan there with us and just being able to have that moment with her was also really cool.
So now, did you do anything over the summer? Did you play a little tennis over the summer?
A little, yeah.
Just a little bit?
Just a little bit.
So you got to stay fine-tuned. You do have. I'm sure you played a little bit during the summer. I knew you would come back at the Legion games and after you'd played and had to give Eric Kringley a little bit of a hard time. But final question for you, ladies, as you look forward now to, I mean, you've got a lot of months before we worry about the girls' spring season. But are you already getting into that mindset to get ready for the spring season?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully this winter we're playing winter tennis again, and then just kind of getting ready for, hopefully another good season. Yeah.
And having indoor courts in Jamestown and having that they have a track, does that help you guys get a chance to play all year round if you have to, Abby?
Yeah, it's really nice, especially in the winter. Like we can go up as a team and hit and have practices there. It's really nice. So
the goals will be set high as we come here to March and April and get ready for the spring season. And I'm sure you're going to be sitting in those chairs a lot here come next spring. But we'll give you a few months off until then. How about that?
Sounds
good.
good.
All right. But again, guys, congratulations on your state championship in doubles last year. And look forward to talking to you this spring.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Abby Martinick and Breck Suffolcool joining us from the Highlander tennis team. Again, state champions in doubles this past spring here in North Dakota. We'll be back with more of a Coach's Corner here on the Highlander Activity Network. And back here on the Highland Activity Network, this is Coach's Corner, which will be here each and every Wednesday at 6 o'clock. And, of course, we will have it live on YouTube. Again, if you missed the program, you can watch it. It'll be archived. You can go back and watch shows from last year. You can watch sporting events from last year. Just go to YouTube and search Highlander Activities or Highland Activity Network, and you can go ahead and rewatch all of the great activities that we had. And we're saying activities, yes, we talk to coaches, we talk to athletes, but we will have plays on there. We will have anything that is an activity going on here at Valley City Public Schools we'll have here on the Highland Activity Network. Since we're in the fall sports season, let's just step back and get you caught up on maybe what happened this past summer with what the Highlanders did during the summer months. Of course, baseball, a great summer of baseball here in Valley City, as you had the Valley City Babe Ruth team, that's 13, 14, and 15-year-olds, went to the state tournament, took third at the state tournament this year, 17-8 record. Head coach Brooks Brown, assisted by Jay Gruel and Carter Dodd and Matt Fetch, helping out with the Babe Ruth team, and they had an outstanding summer. That was the Kings, the Dukes. That's a 13-year-old. We had two Babe Ruth teams, so we have 13-year-olds and then 14 and 15-year-olds. Legion team had a record of 7 and 18 this season, and they had some younger guys, a younger team this year for the Valley City Post 60 Royals. Also, we had a new team this year for Valley City, Cal Ripken. Now, that is kind of an offshoot of Babe Ruth baseball, and this year we had an 11U Cal Ripken team, and it was the first ever chartered Cal Ripken team that Valley City has ever had. And that team did pretty well, went 23-11, and they won the state championship. Back at the end of July, they were down in Wahpeton and won the state championship after losing their first game of that state tournament to Fargo. They rattled off 5 straight wins and defeated Dickinson 8-2 in the state championship game. And just a fun ride. That was in Wahpeton that state tournament went on. And a state championship is always fun, whether it's a summer baseball or fall or whatever the sport, whatever the time of season. And these young men got a chance to get some recognition last night as the FM Redhawks. They have kind of something they have with Culver's Restaurant called Culver's Youth Baseball Team. And you send in kind of an application, you talk with the Redhawks, and they will recognize your team. So last night at the FM Redhawks baseball game against Lake County, this Cal Ripken team was recognized. They got introduced onto the field one by one and got to stand on the field and were there during the national anthem. And, of course, got to meet Super Fan, one of the mascots for the FM Redhawks, and then got a chance to sit in the stands and watch a great game. Redhawks winning 4-3 in last night's game. But that was fun for those young men, something that they will remember for a very long time. All the coaches, the coaches for the Cal Ripken team, Jeremy Wiebe, along with T.J. Hansen, Josh Kosowski, and Ross Berg. They were the coaches for that team, and I got a chance to go to that game last night with them and partake in that. And just a fun atmosphere to see these guys on Newman Outdoor Field being recognized in front of about a pregame. There was probably 2,000 people in the stands. They got up to over 3 by the time everything started. But something those guys are going to remember for a long time. They got a nice ticket, nice seats. They got a great meal. And so it's just a great memory for that Cal Ripken 11U team. And a lot of great baseball this summer, so a lot of looking forward to that this spring. A lot of those guys will be joining, the Highlander 7th and 8th grade teams, 9th grade, the junior high, along with the varsity and junior varsity this spring. And that's kind of what was going on this summer. Just kind of get you caught up on what happened during the summer months for Valley City athletes and Valley City athletics and what they did in the off season. And, of course, there was also a Valley City Tennis Association. We just got done talking with a couple of young ladies here from the girls team. The VCTA always has their great summer tournament. And so it was a very fun and very busy summer in Valley City for sports. And now the fall season is here. School has started, and everybody is ready to get after it. As we progress throughout this season, we'll talk a lot about, of course, the three-class system coming up in basketball here this winter for Valley City. They're now in the new class, the new classification, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out here with that new three-class system. And also at Valley City, a lot of new coaches. Of course, Travis Engen, who is the new head football coach for the Highliners, and we'll be talking with Travis a little bit later on in the program. And we look, of course, Valley City is looking for a new basketball coach as well on the boys' side. And so it's going to be a fun year here in Valley City. Very exciting when there is a little bit of change with that three-class system. So we'll see how things play out once we get into the winter. We'll step aside. We'll take a quick break. We've got more coming up here. Again, Matt Nielsen, the boys and girls tennis coach, will be joining us, and he'll be coming up. Also, Travis Engen, Deb Bilkey, the cross-country team. They had a very good start in Jamestown last weekend to their cross-country season. All that and more coming up as we have Coach's Corner continuing here on the Highliner Activity Network. And back here on Coach's Corner on the Highlander Activity Network, continuing our tennis talk. We just had Abby Martinick and Breck Suffolk joining us as we recap the spring season. Coach Matt Nielsen joining us. And we'll ask you a couple questions about those two, Coach. How exciting was it? The state championship, first one in 33 years for Highlander girls tennis.
Yeah, first one since Susan Kringley and her partner, Brenda Amon, did it back in the day. It was great that Susan was there as a volunteer assistant coach at that time, but Breck and Abby had the goal of doing that. And at the state tournament, they actually, the only time they were in a legit trouble was against their teammates, Kaylee and Georgia. They actually had a set point against them in the quarterfinals. They won that set point. They ended up winning that in 2 sets. And then in the semifinal championship, Breck and Abby we're attacking. We're confident. We're going to keep going, and with them attacking and staying confident, neither team that in the semis or championship looked like they could even gain traction because we just took it to them, and they won that championship. It wasn't given to them. They went out and they earned it, and it was fabulous.
And EDC champs the week before. How much did play in a factor that they had just got done winning the tournament at EDC going into state?
Well, and they had to face some adversity too. I think they lost a set against Red River in the EDC tournament, so that was big to be able to come back and still win a match after being down. But I think after that EDC tournament, I think their confidence just grew, and that